Nicola Sturgeon, dubbed Control Freak, as SNP, accused of betraying Scottish people. The SNP and Nicola Sturgeon were called out for control freakery and betraying the Scottish people and allowing them to have the true freedom they're entitled to. Ms Sturgeon dashed Scotland's Christmas hopes yesterday evening after she urged Scots not to stay overnight at other households during the festive period, and to meet for only one day as opposed to England's 5-day opening. It came as Scotland's coronavirus death toll surpassed 6,000 compared to the other devolved nations, with Wales' 2,921, and Northern Ireland's 1,143. Despite the pandemic, Ms Sturgeon has continued to push her party's agenda of wanting an independent Scotland, something Prime Minister Boris Johnson has repeatedly refused to entertain. Last month, during the SNP's annual conference, she argued that unless Scotland separated from the UK, it risked being dragged down by Boris Johnson and his band of Brexiteers. Ms Sturgeon has taken similar shots at Mr Johnson throughout the global crisis, with many accusing her of politicising the pandemic to bolster her argument for an indie too. Paul Embury, a leading trade unionist, told Express.co.uk that Ms Sturgeon was a political opportunist who played that game of blaming Westminster every time something bad in Scotland happens. Others have made similar arguments, like Professor John Miller from the University of Glasgow, who in a 2015 piece for The Conversation said Ms Sturgeon and her SNP operated control freakery in order to put the Scottish nation before the Scottish people. He said the SNP hides its poor government performance through a continual blame game, playing down the devolved powers to make it look as though Scotland could only enjoy real autonomy if the country were to leave the UK to become an independent state. Moving on to the striking tendencies with which the SNP manipulates its power, Professor Miller said, when the SNP government does exercise its powers, two tendencies are striking. For all its talk of progressive politics, the SNP is a markedly a liberal party in practice. Whether it be bureaucratic interference with family life, the covert arming of police officers, or extensive use of coercive powers such as stop and search, Scottish nationalism in power betrays that trends are often seen in national liberators, that the freedom of the nation matters much more than the freedom of the people who inhabit it.